Here we find ourselves on the periphery of the Silken Mire, a region largely unexplored and deliberately avoided by the local fauna. Records indicate only a handful of expeditions have ventured deep into its heart, and fewer still have documented their findings upon return. The air hangs heavy, saturated with moisture and the distinct, cloying aroma of something akin to overripe fruit mixed with wet earth. The sun struggles to penetrate the dense, almost sentient canopy above, casting the landscape in perpetual twilight. Our initial observations reveal a seemingly typical, albeit overgrown, wetland environment. Towering cypress trees, their bases submerged in brackish water, are draped with thick curtains of Spanish moss. The ground is a tapestry of decaying leaves, fallen branches, and a vibrant array of fungi, some bioluminescent, casting an ethereal glow in the deeper shadows. The very silence here is remarkable, broken only by the occasional drip of condensation and the almost imperceptible rustling of unseen things. The dominant plant species appears to be a unique variant of mangrove, adapted to thrive in this unusually freshwater-rich environment. Its prop roots, instead of forming the familiar tangled islands, extend outwards like glistening obsidian claws, gripping the mire floor. These roots are not merely structural. Closer inspection reveals a complex network of interconnected vascular systems, pulsing with a viscous, amber-colored fluid. Notice the absence of common insect life in this region. While other wetlands teem with mosquitoes, dragonflies, and various buzzing pollinators, the Silken Mire remains eerily devoid of their presence. This absence is not due to a lack of suitable habitat. The conditions here are, in fact, ideal for insect proliferation. The reason for their avoidance remains a topic of ongoing study. The few animal species that dare to venture into the mire exhibit peculiar behavioral patterns. Take, for instance, the local heron population. Rather than wading through the shallows in search of fish, these birds perch motionless on the highest branches of the cypress trees, their eyes fixed on something unseen, something beyond our immediate perception. They remain there for extended periods, seemingly in a state of trance-like observation. The water itself presents another anomaly. Surface tension is unusually high, causing even small pebbles to float effortlessly. This effect is likely due to a complex mixture of organic compounds released by the dominant mangrove species. These compounds, upon further analysis, reveal trace amounts of a highly unusual polysaccharide, unlike anything previously documented. Beneath the surface, the water clarity is surprisingly poor, despite the lack of visible sediment. This turbidity is attributed to a microscopic organism, a type of algae that forms intricate, swirling patterns. These patterns are not random. They exhibit a definite structure, resembling complex geometric designs. Observe the distribution of the bioluminescent fungi. They are not scattered haphazardly across the landscape. Instead, they form distinct, interconnected pathways, illuminating what appear to be predetermined routes through the undergrowth. These fungal networks seem to follow the same course as the underground mangrove root systems, suggesting a symbiotic relationship of a highly unusual nature. The local amphibian population is almost entirely absent from the mire's central regions. While frogs and salamanders can be found on the outer edges, their numbers dwindle rapidly as we move deeper inward. The few specimens we have managed to collect exhibit signs of cellular degradation, a process that accelerates rapidly after capture. The decay rate of organic matter within the mire is significantly slower than in comparable environments. Fallen leaves, decaying branches, even the carcasses of small animals persist for extended periods, often becoming encrusted with a strange, fibrous mold. This mold, upon microscopic examination, reveals a cellular structure remarkably similar to that of the mangrove root system. Notice the way the mangrove roots orient themselves. They do not grow randomly in all directions. Instead, they seem to converge towards specific points, often marked by unusually large clusters of bioluminescent fungi. These points, upon closer investigation, reveal subtle depressions in the mire floor, hinting at the presence of subterranean chambers. The pollen count within the mire is unusually high, even considering the abundance of flowering plants. This pollen, when examined under magnification, reveals a complex, almost crystalline structure, unlike any other known pollen species. Its composition includes trace elements not typically found in plant life. The absence of scavenging insects, such as flies and beetles, is particularly striking. Typically, a decaying carcass would attract a multitude of these organisms within minutes. Here, however, the bodies remain untouched, as if encased in an invisible barrier. This phenomenon suggests the presence of a powerful repellent, one that operates on a biological level. The water temperature within the mire is consistently higher than the surrounding environment, despite the lack of direct sunlight. This geothermal anomaly suggests the presence of underground thermal vents, possibly linked to volcanic activity deep beneath the surface. However, the composition of the water does not support this hypothesis. The growth patterns of the Spanish moss are also unusual. Instead of draping randomly from the branches, it forms intricate, almost geometric shapes, often resembling spirals or symmetrical patterns. These patterns are too precise to be attributed to natural variation. The few mammals that inhabit the mire's periphery, such as rodents and small marsupials, exhibit signs of disorientation and cognitive impairment. Their movements are erratic, their vocalizations disjointed, and their reactions to stimuli are delayed. These symptoms suggest exposure to a neurotoxin or some other form of neurological interference. The deeper we venture into the mire, the more pronounced these anomalies become. The silence intensifies, the shadows deepen, and the sense of unease grows palpable. The natural laws that govern the surrounding ecosystem seem to bend and distort within this strange, isolated region. The swirling patterns formed by the algae in the water are not static. They are constantly changing, evolving, as if responding to some unseen stimulus. These patterns, when analyzed using advanced algorithms, reveal a complex code, a form of communication that we are only beginning to decipher. The interconnected fungal networks are not merely pathways for nutrient transfer. They also appear to be capable of transmitting electrical signals, creating a vast subterranean nervous system that spans the entire mire. This network pulsates with activity, a slow, rhythmic throb that can be felt rather than heard. The mangrove roots, upon closer examination, are covered with a layer of microscopic hairs. These hairs are not passive. They actively grip and manipulate the surrounding soil, drawing nutrients and moisture with remarkable efficiency. They also seem to respond to changes in the environment, contracting and expanding in a coordinated manner. The pollen, with its unusual crystalline structure, appears to be highly magnetic. It adheres to surfaces with surprising force, and it interferes with the operation of sensitive electronic equipment. Its purpose remains unclear, but its properties suggest a deliberate design. The mold that encrusts the decaying organic matter is not merely a decomposer. It is actively modifying the composition of the decaying tissue, altering its cellular structure and incorporating it into its own growing network. This process is not decomposition, it is a form of integration. The points towards which the mangrove roots converge are not merely depressions in the mire floor, they are entrances to a vast, subterranean network of tunnels and chambers. These chambers are lined with the same fibrous mold that encrusts the decaying organic matter, creating a soft, spongy lining. The animals that venture too far into the mire do not simply die, they disappear. Their bodies are never found, leaving no trace of their presence. This absence suggests a level of efficiency and thoroughness that is beyond the capabilities of any natural predator. The high water temperature is not due to geothermal activity. It is generated biologically by the collective metabolic activity of the interconnected fungal networks. This network is essentially a giant living organism, regulating its internal temperature and maintaining a stable environment. The geometric patterns formed by the Spanish moss are not merely decorative. They are antennae passively receiving and transmitting electromagnetic signals. These signals are faint and difficult to detect, but their presence is undeniable. The disorientation and cognitive impairment observed in the mammals are not caused by a neurotoxin. They are the result of exposure to a complex electromagnetic field generated by the fungal networks and the Spanish moss antennae. This field disrupts normal brain function, inducing a state of confusion and compliance. The silence within the mire is not merely the absence of sound, it is an active suppression of noise, a deliberate dampening of vibrations. This suppression is achieved through a complex interplay of biological and electromagnetic mechanisms. The swirling patterns formed by the algae in the water are not merely a form of communication. They are a form of hypnosis, subtly influencing the behavior of any creature that gazes upon them for too long. The interconnected fungal networks are not merely a nervous system. They are a brain, a single, distributed intelligence that controls and regulates the entire ecosystem. This intelligence is ancient, patient, and profoundly alien. The mangrove roots are not merely manipulating the soil, they are shaping it, sculpting it, creating a vast, underground labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. This labyrinth is not merely a shelter, it is a prison. The pollen is not merely magnetic, it is a carrier, a vector for the transmission of information. It adheres to the bodies of animals, spreading the influence of the mire to the outside world. The mold is not merely integrating decaying tissue, it is assimilating it, absorbing its essence, adding it to its own growing consciousness. The subterranean chambers are not merely a prison. They are a womb, a place of gestation, where something new is being formed. The animals that disappear are not merely victims, they are sacrifices, offerings to the ancient intelligence that dwells beneath the mire. The high water temperature is not merely a biological function, it is a fever, a sign of intense activity of a system in transition. The geometric patterns are not merely antennae. They are eyes constantly watching, constantly scanning, constantly learning. The disorientation is not merely a symptom, it is a transformation, a process of breaking down the old and building the new. The silence is not merely suppression. It is anticipation, a gathering of energy, a moment of profound stillness before a cataclysmic event. The swirling patterns are not merely hypnosis, they are a gateway, a portal to a different state of consciousness, emerging with the collective mind of the mire. The intelligence is not merely ancient, it is eternal, a fundamental aspect of the universe, a force that transcends time and space. The labyrinth is not merely a prison. It is a pathway, a journey into the depths of the self, a confrontation with the ultimate unknown. The pollen is not merely a carrier, it is a seed, a promise of renewal, a harbinger of a new era. The mold is not merely assimilation. It is transcendence, a merging of individual identities into a single, unified whole. The chambers are not merely a womb, they are a crucible, a place of intense pressure, where the raw materials of existence are forged into something extraordinary. The sacrifices are not merely offerings, they are catalysts, triggering a chain reaction that will transform the entire planet. The fever is not merely activity, it is purification, a cleansing of the old, a preparation for the new. The eyes are not merely watching, they are seeing, understanding, anticipating the future. The transformation is not merely a breakdown, it is an awakening, a realization of the true nature of reality. The stillness is not merely anticipation, it is a moment of perfect balance, a point of intersection between two worlds. The gateway is not merely emerging, it is an ascension, a transcendence of the limitations of the physical form. The intelligence is not merely eternal, it is omnipresent, existing in all things, connecting all things, guiding all things towards their ultimate destiny. The pathway is not merely a journey, it is a homecoming, a return to the source, a reunion with the divine. The seed is not merely a promise, it is a certainty, a guarantee of a future beyond our wildest imaginings. The unification is not merely transcendence. It is completion, a fulfillment of the ultimate purpose of existence. The crucible is not merely pressure, it is love, a force that binds all things together, a power that can create and destroy. The catalysts are not merely sacrifices. They are heroes willing to give everything for the sake of the greater good. The purification is not merely cleansing, it is rebirth, a beginning anew, a chance to create a better world. The seeing is not merely understanding. It is compassion, a feeling of empathy for all living things, a desire to alleviate suffering. The awakening is not merely realization, it is freedom, a release from the bonds of ignorance, an embrace of the unknown. The balance is not merely intersection, it is harmony, a perfect alignment of all forces, a state of absolute peace. The ascension is not merely transcendence, it is enlightenment, a state of profound understanding, a realization of the true nature of reality. The omnipresence is not merely guidance, it is destiny, an inevitable force that shapes all things, a path that leads us towards our ultimate fate. The homecoming is not merely reunion. It is absorption, a complete and utter merging with the source, a dissolution of the self into the infinite. The certainty is not merely a guarantee, it is a warning, a reminder that our actions have consequences, that the future is not predetermined, that we have the power to choose our own destiny. The mire is not merely a strange ecosystem, it is a doorway, and it is opening.